Cześć, tutaj Justyna Świetlicka. Witam Cię w 120 odcinku mojego podcastu, audycji, w której poruszam temat diety, aktywności fizycznej, szeroko pojętego zdrowego stylu życia, ekologii, podróży i rozwoju osobistego. W dzisiejszym odcinku po raz kolejny rozmawiam z moim partnerem Ismaelem. Dziękuję tym wszystkim osobom, które wysłały mi tak wspaniały feedback po naszej pierwszej rozmowie i to właśnie dzięki Wam udało mi się go zaprosić po raz kolejny. Przeczytałam mu prawie wszystkie wiadomości, które wysłaliście i to był chyba podcast, po którym dostałam najwięcej wiadomości. Także zaprosiłam go po raz kolejny, żeby pogadać z nim o szczęściu, o filozofii, o tym, jak żyć bardziej tu i teraz, jak radzić sobie z negatywnymi emocjami, jak mieć fajne życie. Zapytałam go też trochę o jego podejście do zdrowego stylu życia oraz jego dietę, dlatego że Ismael również odżywia się fleksitariańsko, chociaż nie lubi się do tego przyznawać, dlatego że on nie lubi sobie nadawać etykiet. Ale tak jak już wspominałam w moich treściach na temat diety fleksitariańskiej, jeżeli macie taką ochotę, możecie sobie nadawać taką etykietę, ale wcale nie musicie. No i minął już tydzień od premiery fleksitariańskiego e-booka, którego stworzyłam razem z Martą i dziękuję serdecznie wszystkim osobom, które go kupiły. Dostałam już sporo opinii od tych osób, które go kupiły i już zaczęły gotować i chciałabym przeczytać Wam jedną opinię, którą dostałam od Pauliny Sarny i wysyłam do Pauliny uściski. I wysyłam też uściski do wszystkich osób, które przesłały mi opinię na temat e-booka, ale ta właśnie szczególnie mi się spodobała i chciałabym się nią z Wami podzielić. Gdy tylko zobaczyłam kulisy powstawania e-booka, pomyślałam, że muszę go mieć. Mam już kilka e-booków Justyny i mogę stwierdzić, że ten to zdecydowanie powiew świeżości. Całkiem inne przepisy, łatwo dostępne składniki, ciekawe połączenia, nieskomplikowane do przygotowania, a smaki niesamowite. Dużym ułatwieniem jest podzielenie na śniadania, wytrawne i słodkie, lunche, obiady i desery. Dodatkowo otrzymujemy przykładowy jadłospis na podstawie tych przepisów, więc super. Wiem, że robię coś dla siebie dobrego i pod kątem psychicznym, i pod kątem fizycznym. Zresztą nie tylko dla siebie, bo odkąd moja mama spróbowała burgerów z soczewicy z sosem śliwkowym, to stwierdziła, że na takiej diecie to może być. Dziękuję Paulina za Twoją opinię. To naprawdę dużo dla mnie znaczy, jeżeli słyszę takie słowa pod adresem mojego nowego dzieła, właściwie naszego nowego dzieła, które stworzyłam wspólnie z Martą. Także jeżeli macie ochotę sprawdzić, co znajduje się w e-booku, jeżeli macie ochotę kupić sobie tego e-booka w prezencie, żeby zadbać o siebie, zadbać o swoje zdrowie, to w opisie tego odcinka zostawiam Wam link do e-booka. I jeszcze przez tydzień, do poniedziałku 21 czerwca, e-book jest w niższej premierowej cenie. Także jeżeli macie ochotę na e-booka, zostawiam link w opisie, a teraz zapraszam Was do wysłuchania naszej rozmowy. No i tak jak możecie zauważyć po tytule i po gościu, ten podcast również będzie po angielsku. Także mam nadzieję, że będziecie dobrze się z nami bawić i miło spędzicie z nami czas. Hello, Ismael.
Cześć.
My first question is, why are you interested in philosophy and why do you read philosophical books?
All right, so that's how we start the podcast. I was actually thinking the same when you did your introduction. I heard my name 2-3 times and I didn't get a word what we're going to talk about today, and you didn't really tell me much. So at least I had the same feeling. So to answer your questions, why am I interested in philosophy and why do I read philosophical books? I don't know if there is an answer to that, really. I mean,
so maybe first, when did you start to be interested in philosophy? Like since ever or?
I guess since ever. I couldn't tell you that I'm reading philosophical books since 2 years or since 7 years or 13 years or when that goes back. I don't know when I really started with it. There is periods where I read more about it and when I really go down, like find an author, find a philosopher that I really like and read more about him or her. And lately I've done that quite a bit. And probably that's why you also ask those questions. But I think my interest in that has started very young. I mean, not all of your listeners will have listened to our first podcast, but there is also there's bits and pieces in there. How I was brought up and like free thinking and like spiritual mom and all that stuff. And I think I started questioning things fairly early. Why is this happening? Why is that happening? How are things interconnected? And then philosophy logically is the key or a tool to understand different things, right? If you're not too much into religion and you believe that there is one God that crafted everything, or that there is one mighty power, I think things are interconnected, yes, and we cannot explain each and everything. But philosophy gives you the tools or the philosophies to question things, to understand things, or to at least, get a more thorough picture of why you believe what you believe.
There is a book that I started to read, but I guess I did not finish, which is called The Guide to a Good Life. And in my personal opinion, philosophy is kind of a tool that helps you understand more, maybe understand you more, and yes, question stuff. Do you have favorite philosopher, or favorite author, or favorite way of thinking, or you just read all of them and then take what's meaningful for you?
I would say I'm very far from reading all of them because there are so many books out there. There are so many philosophers out there. You probably will not be able to read all of them. I don't know how to answer that question really. I mean, there's a few basic ones or traditional ones. You can say Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, there's Socrates, there is like the old Greeks, I want to call them. Then you have a few of the new, or like of the more recent times, if you want to say so. Lately, I've read quite a few books of Fromm again, of Hesse again, but Hesse I wouldn't even call a philosopher. So it really depends even like what are we calling a philosopher? Is a psychiatrist a philosopher? I would argue probably not. So it's not only about one philosopher. What makes a person a philosopher, right?
I was calling myself a philosopher. That's why we are starting here, because I don't know if I told you, but sometimes I joke about it that, okay, today we are going to have a philosophical episode. So there is me talking about, what I've learned, what I think about life, what I think about happiness, what I think about good life. And sometimes I call myself a philosopher. Like, who is a philosopher then? Can you call yourself a philosopher?
Let me redirect that question. I believe it was, or not I believe, I know, it was our first date where you called me a philosopher. So what made you call me a philosopher then?
I don't know.
What did we talk about that? What makes a philosopher for you?
I don't know, like asking questions, thinking about stuff, wondering what's the meaning of life, which brings me to my next question. Because, I have so many. I would like to ask you if you have an opinion on what is the meaning of life, what is like the goal of life. Because for me, philosophy is also giving answers. Because I think there is many to this question. Why are we here? What for? What are we doing here? And I don't know, what should I do with my life?
Okay, that's very interesting because for me, I would say philosophy is not so much about the answers, but much more about the right questions to ask. It's not so important which answer you find for yourself or which answer the listeners find for the same questions. It's more about being able to understand that you can ask questions. Probably that's number one. then to think about which questions to ask, and then they will drive you into a certain direction and they give your life meaning and they will create something. For me, it's not so important to give the right answers because there is no right and wrong. There is no answer to the questions. It's more about the ability to ask questions. So now if you ask me, what is life all about? There is 8 million different levels that we can answer that question, and probably I don't have the answer. But
I'm asking about your answer, because there can be like many answers, and for each of us, answer is going to be different. What
Absolutely.
is the meaning of life?
There's a lot, and it's hard to find the answer. I believe the first word that comes up in my mind is probably happiness. And that doesn't mean a selfish happiness only for myself, but also for my close-ish people, right? So my family, my friends, like creating happiness usually is much more fun than enjoying happiness by yourself, what basically probably doesn't even exist. So it's about being happy and creating something good in this world, and that can be by doing so many different things, right? I mean, it can be something spiritual, it can be something relationship, you can create groups, you can create education, you can create knowledge, you can share knowledge, all that. I think there is so many different interpretations of that happiness or that sharing joy amongst each other, that the definition of life, it's similar because we are connected, but on the other hand, it's also very subjective of what is your interpretation of that?
And actually, this is my third question, and you are like going like by my list, and you didn't see that, I guess. I hope.
For the protocol, I did not. I really did not.
Yeah,
so
you
let's
did
see
not,
how that is
I
done.
think that I kind of know your answers to my questions. That's why I was like putting them in an order. So, if happiness is the goal, I don't know, like the meaning of life, what is the key to happiness? Is it like you are happy because you are happy, or do you have to reach some goals, buy something, go somewhere? What is the key?
I think, again, it has different layers, and I don't know if it's language, but it's been a topic we've been talking about for the past week / maybe even weeks. It's not the end goal is happiness. There is not a life, and the life goal is you do those 10 things or 10 million things or whatever end things, and then you're gonna be happy. Happiness is a process. Happiness is not a goal. So if you're happy while living your life, if you're happy while doing things, if you're happy while living life, and that doesn't mean that all the errands you run and that all the obligations you have and that all the responsibilities you have to take must be fun. But overall, the process of life should be happiness, or it should be how to become more happy and how to live a happy life. If you decide for whichever reason that this is not for you, okay. But that's the first answer. Like, there is no goal, and you do certain things that make you happy. But it's more about the process that keeps you happy in an ideal world, obviously. Then you ask me, okay, well, is that materialistic? Is that spiritual? Is that relationships with friends? I think it can be on an artificial level, like on a level, many different things. And everybody interprets happiness as something different. A lot of people believe that materialistic stuff, be it a car, be it the 10th house, be it like whatever, makes them happy. But I doubt that it makes most people happy from within, to be honest. I mean, there might be few, and there might be that really have that so intrinsic within themselves that they need to buy, they need to consume. I mean, this is how the whole society works today. You need to consume, you need to buy this that makes you happy. But I mean, think back. You buy something that you always wanted to buy, and the moment you have it, you don't care about it anymore. You want the next. And that is true not only for things, for materialistic things, but that can also be true for travels. You always wanted to travel to this country, you go there and then you're like, let's go to the next. So I think it's also about understanding what is really important for you and what satisfies your need, and maybe you do not need so much more. And we've also talked about it, I don't know, maybe I'm going into your next question, but happiness usually is not created by using or obtaining or creating maybe, but obtaining something material, but by sharing something tangible rather, or even untangible, with someone else. So I think happiness, there is a much bigger opportunity to create happiness if you create it with somebody else than only with yourself.
Yeah, but can it be like family, friends, or should it be your partner?
I think your partner is kind of your friend and your family to begin with.
Are we a
family? It should be. Yes, of course.
Family since 4 months. Nice.
Yeah, so what? I mean, if I wouldn't see you there, then we wouldn't sit here. Obviously, you are family and a very close friend. So your question is if happiness can only be created with close friends?
No, I was wondering if it has to be your partner, or do you have to have this person to share this happiness, or can it be also family member, friend, or...
I think it can be so many different people. Obviously, you create happiness the most with the ones that you are close with, be it like this once in a year you go on vacation with your family, or I don't know, every day you go with your siblings to school, and whatever it is, there's so many reasons. Or be with your friends, you go to the coffee, or you could go to get a coffee. There is so many things you can get it with. But I think it can also be random people. I've encountered happiness so many times when I didn't know people. And that's going back, and that's something everybody has heard multiple times. But you know that I've partially grew up in India, and I've lived in India, and also after high school I went again for a year working for an NGO. And we went out in the villages, like really, there was not much happening, but some initiatives of the NGO I worked with. And I was the first white person they've seen. And those people had materialistic nothing. Like maybe $1 a month. Tops. They were the most happy people because they did not yet care about obtaining more, getting more. Usually if you get something, you want more. If you don't know that you have to get something, but you're just happy with what you have, be it food, be it shelter, be it friendship, be it relationships, those were the most happy people. And they were super happy that they've seen me. So does it have to be someone you know? For sure not. I have so many examples in my head right now that pop up. No, it does not have to be close friends. I don't know if we have time. That probably we do.
Yeah, we have plenty of time, so you can share. And now I was wondering, what is your memory, like memories of the most happy moments in your life?
And that being an unprepared question, that's a difficult one, because if I talk about one, no, it doesn't matter, because wow, what's the most happy moments in my life? Probably most of them had to do with family and friends. Be it either of my 3 nephews and niece, once they got born, the day they got born, the day I heard about that they are being in production, if you want to say so. There was not really a day, but a phase when I realized that my mom got much better after what all that happened to her during my teenager years, I want to call it. That was happiness. Family events coming together. My grandma is now 93, I believe, and whenever I see her, I'm super happy. You have to, I would have to distinguish between joyful events and happy events. I remember as well something I will do at some point, I guess, I hope. My grandpa and my grandma had 4 children, including my dad. And there were 4 siblings. So every year we met with the whole family, meaning like 20, 30 people. I don't remember which holiday it is, but annually we met for a long weekend. It was super cool. And every 5 years, my grandpa invited his 8 siblings and my grandma's 11 siblings and make the same thing, but with 350, 400 people. And that was pretty cool. That was a happy event. I only did it once because my grandpa then passed away, but I remember that I was happy to meet people. It was super interesting to meet people you don't know and you know it's your family. So certainly family family is the closest connections we usually have. But there's also so many examples that come up now. Like I've traveled the world with my friends, but also with my brother-in-law, with family. And sometimes in the moment, it doesn't even feel like this is pure joy or this is a happy moment.
Like traveling most of the time,
exactly.
It's a pain.
Exactly. It can be a real pain. But afterwards, the happiness, the trust that is or has been created and those lasting relationships are what count to me. So what were the most happy events in my life? There is so many. Again, I'm a very privileged, lucky person that has a lot of happy moments, emotions, and times. So it's hard for me to level them.
Mm. So you said stuff about it's better not to carry too much about materialistic stuff. And have you ever been there that you were working, you had money and you were buying stuff, willing to be happy and it did not happen? Or did you know from the very beginning that buying stuff, paying for like cool stuff is not key to be happy?
Well, who would I be if I say no, I've been there from the very beginning? Obviously not. I mean, it has different reasons. We're not gonna go into this loop why I did or do the job that I've done as being a strategy consulting. I mean, this is high pace, a lot of work for, I guess people would say, a lot of money. But I think there's different layers. I think there's the first layer of financial freedom, if you want to say so. So it's good not to care too much about it's the end of the month. Can I pay my bills? Can I not pay my bills? So this is like the financial freedom. That's nice, but that's a different topic. While getting there over the past N years, and not until recently, but obviously you work so much, I worked so much, you don't really have time to spend it anymore, right? And you also, you don't really meet your friends anymore as often or as much.
How long did you work then? How many hours a day? A week?
It doesn't matter. Like a lot. Let's just call it a lot because it was the center of my life, right? And then you buy, I don't know what it might be. I like sneakers. I like shoes. You know that. You've laughed when you saw my sneakers in Hamburg at my apartment that I had.
Yeah, I was surprised. I have like 10 pairs of shoes, tops, like all of them, like winter shoes, 1 high heels for like big events, and I think I bought it for Magda Hajkiewicz wedding because I didn't have them, and then like sneakers, like flip-flops, like that's it. And when I saw like his collection of shoes, I was like, whoa. So now I see, where did your money go?
Well, my money didn't really go there. That was more, I don't know what that was. And to be fair, all of those pairs had a certain relationship, a certain story. Again, I told you, like, a good friend of mine is a very successful entrepreneur. I had his first prototype, or it's actually the same friend, like his famous shoe. He wasn't able to, his favorite shoe, he wasn't able to buy it. So we decided that I might buy it and wear it for us. So all of them have a story, and I wouldn't even say that those shoes were what it was, but you start buying stuff, and I think I was fairly good from the very beginning to buy essentials and buy stuff not too often. I mean, you've made fun of me, not made fun of me, but you've realized it that here in Costa Rica, I bought myself, because I didn't bring one, I brought like 5 thick sweaters, to be fair.
We didn't pack smart, let's call it like this. We both did not pack smart. We have one big backpack full of like long pants, long sleeve sweatshirts, and we don't use it. We don't even open it. So yeah, we didn't pack smart. So yeah.
So I didn't pack so smart, and I didn't have anything super thin and still long sleeve. So I bought like a super thin sweatshirt, one you could go to the beach for because it's like sun protection, whatever. And since I have it, I don't think you've seen me with so much other stuff. I don't need a lot of stuff. So I have like one black turtleneck, which you don't like. I have a few white t-shirts. I have this one sweatshirt, but I don't need a lot of something. And I think this is something I've realized fairly quick, that it doesn't mean that you need to have a lot of stuff that this would make you happy. It really does not. I like to have good quality. I like to have functional stuff. And then I have it once and then I use it until I don't need it. But I don't need to buy new stuff every week, month, year, whatever you want to call it. And it's the same is true for bigger investments, if you want to say so. No? Like having a nice cycle. I have, well, we could argue about that, but I would say for sure I have 3 cycles. If we count the one that's on the street and not really being used, it would be 4. But for me, that's not too many cycles, because you need all those cycles, right? I need one for this, one for that, or right now, as we are not being in Europe, they are being used by friends of mine and they love it. I mean, I called a friend of mine 2 days ago and he was actively cycling around and he was like, dude, it's super cool. The summer is here and I'm using your cycle. It's so cool that you left it for me. So where did we start this question? Where did we end up?
With sneakers we started.
No, we didn't start. We start with like, was I able from the very beginning to distinguish? So I think from the early on, I knew that buying material goods will not make you happy. And still here and there, you could find yourself doing stuff like that. And it's not only materialistic stuff. It could be also like going places, being able to spend money the way you want to, be it parties, be it food, be it whatever. But I think I realized that from early on, kind of. Okay. But I'm free of guilt.
So now we know that happiness is like not buying stuff, not materialistic stuff. And I would say that you are one of the happiest person I know. Like my friends are happy people, but you are the most happy. And I don't know, I think I saw you like kind of sad, like not even angry, maybe once or twice. How come? How do you do that you are happy all the time? Do you need to do the effort, or is it natural for you, or did you learn it? Because I would like to do it sometimes, and sometimes when I'm sad, I'm like, why are you so happy? And don't tell me to be happy, I just want to be sad, okay? Is it natural for you? Like, can you like teach people how to do it?
I don't know. If it would not be natural, then what would it be? I guess. I don't know. First of all, it's quite cool to hear that I'm a happy person. Very good. I inspire you. That's good. You also inspire me. You know that.
Do I?
Yeah, of course you do. And you know that. And we've talked about that. We can also talk about that some other time. I don't know. Am I a very happy person? I think I do a lot of stuff with mindset or via my mindset. I mean, again, I'm avoiding a straight answer, if you want to say, by giving examples. But we've talked about coming to Costa Rica, and I don't know how much you intended to talk to your friends online about that, but we've had a few situations. I don't know how many you shared with them.
I think we can actually talk about it, because even you showed me with those examples that I went with my thoughts where I wanted to go, but you can also look to all those situations from a different perspective. So we had few not cool situations, and usually I'm super lucky person. Like bad stuff that never happens to me. Everything always go right. And here in Costa Rica, since a month, we had 5-6 situations that I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why is this happening to us? And then I thought that maybe this is a sign that I shouldn't be here. And then you showed me a different perspective. So first situation, I don't know, with the power cut or the, how do you call it? With the tire, flat tire.
That are two situations. Let's go one after another. And I think, yes, it's important. And that's why I'm talking there. It's mindset. And I'm not saying you have to interpret the situation like this or like that. And that's what I meant earlier. You have so many ways of interpretations, right? But the day before you had a big presentation, I want to call it, we lived in the jungle house. It was cool. Every day internet was working. It was working just fine. We had 2 power cuts for 2 seconds. Everything was good. And the night before your presentation, which was at 6 a.m. because it was somewhere in the Polish time zone, I want to say, or European Central Time Zone, we had a power cut. And it was an interesting night, let's call it, because we didn't have reception at the house. We didn't have internet on our phones. So we had to go out. We had to find this one spot to make a call. We called some hotels if it's possible to check in. Well, long story short, it was not so easy to make sure that you're going to have internet at 6 a.m. We relied on it. We hoped for it. And the internet came back.
After 4 hours and me being stressed out so much.
To an extent I didn't see. And that was the first one, and you said the interpretation, maybe it's not good. Well, on the other hand, you can also look at it and say, you were so lucky, the internet, you didn't really have to care. The internet came back just in time before your meeting happened. Then the second one, you said, okay, flat tire, right? So we went on to a surf on Sunday. We surfed, and I remember I was really, really tired, and I got out of the water. You were already there, and there was everything I wanted to do but change a flat tire, right?
Yeah, we were so hungry. We wanted to have water. We didn't have a wallet because at that time we didn't take valuable stuff. We at that time we thought that it's better not to take valuable stuff. We didn't take a phone, anything. And yeah, we didn't even have water. And we had to learn how to change a tire because we've never done it.
So now we don't know how to change a tire. And maybe this has shown us also how the rental company dealt with the situation, that this is not the rental company. They're nice, but they didn't exactly deal with it the way that we wanted to. Told us where to repair it. They told us, well, whatever they told us. And this resulted in us changing the company and the car, and we now have a much newer car. We may have a much safer car. Who knows? Maybe with the old car, there's a rainy day, there's a tight turn. Who knows what would have happened, right? I mean, this is just, again, it's a different perspective, and I'm opening a loop, but it was a fun fact because I spoke to a good friend of mine about it who traveled South America 1.5, 2 years back. The funny thing is, he also traveled with a friend for half a year, and they had a flat tire the first time in the middle of nowhere, like we did, but there was somebody who helped them. They then knew how to change the tire. So they were like, okay, flat tire, nothing special. Now we know how it works. But they had no clue before. A month later, they had a flat tire again, and that was during a bushfire. So not exactly the spot where you should stop your car or have a flat tire. He told me in 5 minutes, or 8 minutes to be precise, he's German, so he says 8 minutes, they were able to change a tire.
Because
so he knew how to change a tire. And I hope I don't jinx a bushfire in Costa Rica, but sometimes the perspective changes stuff, and sometimes it also prepares you. Now let's take the phones. Last Wednesday we were smart enough to take both our phones for surfing.
But
because,
only 2, not 3 phones.
Yeah, but still, more than enough. We took the phones to the beach, and we did as everybody does. We hit the key, and obviously somebody was watching us. We were in the waves. I don't know if people know, but we were out in the water. I looked back and I saw, because the indicators go up if you open the car, and I saw that somebody opened the car, but I wasn't sure. And I was like, did you see it? And you said, I did not. Of course not. What should happen? I was like, okay, are you getting paranoid or what's happening? I was like, okay, let's go back. And that day was the day that I first time could use my new surfboard. I got the day afterwards, but it was a super nice board and I wanted to surf. The waves were small but cool. So I paddled out. I surfed 2 waves. It was actually super cool. I came back to the car, and there you go. The keys were on the car. The phones were gone. And now one could say, okay, it's not a good sign. It's a sign to leave the country. But on the other hand, maybe we would have gotten to the beach 10 more times. And maybe before we leave to the north of the country, we would have gone for surf with all our stuff. Or for whichever reason we would have gone for surf with our passports. Or for whichever reason we would have something more valuable than a stupid phone. I mean, it's in the end, it's a materialistic piece of something, and we are still able to do whatever we can do, right? So the moment I realized that our phones were gone, I was like, so it be. It's a learning. I mean, that's also something. Either you learn or you win. I don't think there is any losing in this world, right? Either you say you learned something, and it's good if you learn via materialistic triggers. It could be much worse. I mean, if you get hurt, if I get hurt, if something serious happens, not cool. If some money gets burned, so what? And that shouldn't sound arrogant. I mean, it's a lot of money. I know that, and we are more careful about it. But there is much more important stuff than having a fancy phone. I mean, you can still do your stuff with my old phone that we're using now. Or you're using now, whatever. And I think what brought us here to all those examples is what is happiness, or like, why are you so happy? And I don't want to say that I keep on looking at things that everything is happening for exactly this reason, or that this is the exact right thing. But I think, and that's my thinking, everything happens, and the way it is the way it is, and it is fine the way it is, and we can cope with it. We can be happy about it, or we can be sad about it. And a lot of people are very sad about whatever they find. Maybe this also goes back to experience, again, having lived in different countries, having people actually suffer, having people seen who don't have anything. Also growing up with not a lot, but that's a different side topic. So I appreciate things, and not only materialistic things. So I guess I have the ability to look at things, and I also have the ability, I know that things will be fine. Everything is gonna be all right and fine. And if we put energy into something, it will go the direction that we want it to. If we know that which direction we want it to go to or not, it's out of question. I mean, it's gonna be fine. And I think this is just my view on life. Without being naive and saying everything is super cool and everything is this, but there's not cool stuff happening for us, for our close friends and families, and also for society as a whole, or humanity as a whole. But in the end, it's all connected. And if we keep a positive vibe, I think it's much better, because then the mean is going to be better.
Now I'm wondering how to look at stuff from this like different perspective when you are in this difficult situation. Because after some time you can say, okay, this situation was difficult, but it taught me this and that. But when someone steals your phone and you know that you need to like do stuff with it, you need it to work, how do you deal with this situation in this very moment? Like, do you have like questions that you can ask yourself when you have those difficult situations, or is it the way you are made that you just automatically goes to, okay, it's fine, nothing happened?
I think there's few things. First, maybe that's also me, but don't take yourself too serious. What happens if you do not post your podcast? What happens if you do not send a video on the internet and people cannot click this link, buy this? What happens if I not talk to those executive managers? And what happens if I'm not holding a presentation? What happens? I don't think that any big corporate company building I've ever consulted with has ever burned down when I didn't work a day. And I don't think anything physically would happen if you cannot work for a day or even a week. Yes, it has consequences. Yes, it's not nice. Yes, it's not cool and people would wait for you. And I don't want to say it's not a problem, but what is a difficult situation? I mean, we are not doctors who are saving lives every day and out of a sudden we cannot anymore. So maybe that's my first one. I don't take myself too serious. If I cannot work or if I cannot do something for a day, life will continue for most of / all the people on this planet, right? It wouldn't be cool maybe and it wouldn't be a good experience, but number one. Also, what is the consequence of something? I mean, what is cause and effect? Usually if you go to the question like, what is worst case? Your worst case is usually not too bad. And I mean, this is going somewhere deeper, if you want to say. But if you ask yourself, okay, what if I cannot connect to the internet for 2 weeks? And if we would go down this loop now, I don't think the consequence for you would be so bad. I don't know. Let's say you cannot work for 2 weeks. Would anything happen to your family?
Yeah, no, my family, no.
Would anything happen to your close friends?
I don't know, like Magda and Viola, we have this sale coming up, and this is the thing. Usually nothing would happen, but this time is kind of important to me and I should be there. Worst case, I will not earn any money.
So, you will not earn money. What will happen?
Maybe I will not buy food and I will starve to death.
I don't think you will starve to death. And on a serious note, I think I would buy us some rice. I would get some veggies. And I would maybe get us tickets to Europe. And then we could live there. You have friends, you have family where you can live. So even if you make 0 zloty or 0 euros or 0 whatever, it would not be the end of the world. And maybe that's me. Maybe that's me looking at what's the worst case. Okay, worst case is not so bad. What is the consequence if you do not do something? It's also not the end of the world, usually. There have been situations where people rely on you. There is important situation, and yes, it is one of those. But I think this is how I deal with most of my setbacks. And then usually if you deal with situations like that and a mindset like it, you will find a solution fairly quick. I mean, it took us what? It took us 10 minutes and you were connected again because we had this other phone, because we found this, because there is ways.
And then you can look on the situation from a different perspective and okay, now I make fun of it because sometimes when I say stuff out loud, funny things, magical things happen. Okay, I broke a drone here because I was not mindful, let's call it like that. I was not cautious flying my drone, so then my drone met with the tree and now he's dead. And then I was like, yeah, it's just a drone. It was not that expensive. It was not that bad. It would be way worse if I lose my phone. And then I've lost it, and I was like, "Fuck! I need to be careful with what I actually say, because then thing happens." Yeah. There was like few more situations, but some of them they like show us that we are kind of lucky. We left adapters, which are important in Costa Rica because you have different plugs, and you cannot use your charger, you need an adapter. And after our weekend without time, we took everything from the house except of adapters. And next day, after like 12 hours of driving, we had to use those adapters to work. You had a meeting at 8. I didn't have important meetings. I only had Spanish, so I could like cancel it. And at 11 p.m, I was like, no, I cannot believe that we don't have those adapters, and now we need to find a way to like work. And what's cool about you is that you don't get angry. I was like breathing heavily because after 12 hours in this car, I didn't want to go back and then look for a store. And we knew that everything is closed at 10 p.m. So we went to the city, we went to a few places to ask people, and then what happened?
And everything was closed. And yes, I'm not sure if it was 8 o'clock, it was 6 o'clock. I think it was 6 a.m. for me. So I had to do something fairly early. Like there is no chance you're going to find an open store at 5. Even if it was 8 o'clock, even you're not going to find a store that's open at 7. And there is no hardware stores. There is no electronic whatever stores. So what did we do? We drove around. I mean, we knew we have to tackle the situation because our laptops are not charged. We were stupid enough not to charge them before because we lied. We had all that. What did we do? I mean, what's the point of getting angry in this situation? Usually if you get angry, you're not going to solve it much quicker. You're going to solve it much. It's going to take more time. So we drove around. We asked at the first hotel. They laughed at us, told us maybe by 10 a.m. the next day we could find it somewhere. The second hotel/restaurant was closed. The security didn't speak a word of English. My Spanish was good enough to ask, but he didn't really understand. And then the third one was, or the fourth one, I'm not like sure.
Spa?
It was a spa. So you stayed in the car because I was like, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to look at it.
No way, you are going to get an adapter here. I already gave up. I went to the first hotel to ask a guy and he looked at me and he laughed. And then I was like, okay, I gave up. You can go, you can ask.
And I asked the second and I asked the third. And the third one was a security in a spa. And he also didn't speak any word of English, and my Spanish is okay, but not perfect. Well, I kind of explained to him what the situation was, and I think he understood, but he was like, he didn't understand why somebody would search an adapter for a power plug at 10 p.m. on a Monday night. And not just go get one the next day. But we checked and I was persistent and we went to the security room. He went with me and we checked everything. And he asked me if I need the Costa Rican/American iPhone charger. I was like, not so much. We need this adapter. And we searched for 5 minutes and he found one. And it was still packed and he gave it to me and was like, have fun. Yeah. And there we go. And we had one and I came back to the car. We went back home, charged the computers and everything went fine.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I was like, no way that you got this adapter from the security guy. So then, because for me it was also like another difficult situation that I'm like, I really wanted to go to bed. It was after 10 p.m. and usually we are in bed 9 p.m., 8:30. So I was ready to go to bed and we had to drive around to find it. So yeah, we had all those difficult, like challenging situations. And I can say that maybe it's a sign that it's not a place for me. It's not a good energy for me. It's not this vibe. But on the other hand, I think I told you that this actually make this relationship stronger because I don't know, most of the time I would like get pissed, and if you have another person who gets angry and then you argue, it will not make your relationship stronger. And if you know that you have this partner who is like chill and he gets an adapter at 11 p.m, then you know that maybe it's a cool and right person. I don't know.
And I strongly believe that those challenges, yes, also help us to foster our relationship. I mean, we don't know when they come. During the moment when we have those situations, it's not super fun. Huh? It's not fun if you don't know that you have this important meeting the next day and you don't know if it's going to happen. Or that you just lost your phone, but overall, we learn from it, we develop from it, and I think we're just learning a lot. And if you now zoom out a little bit, I mean, this is a different topic, but if you want to say, I mean, coming to Costa Rica is not the sole purpose of getting to know each other better, but I think this is one component, no? Like, we get to know each other much better in a different environment where we have to see how do you, how do I, how do we deal with something that's not so cool. Because if we can go surf all day, then chances are good we click and everything is fine. But if you have a challenge, then you're actually going to learn something from it. And the more you learn, the more you prosper and the more you can use for your life. And I think I've learned a lot during my life. It's not been all sunshine. It's not been all great. You've also learned a fair bit, and now we're learning together. And I think if that is your attitude, or if that is your mindset, and that probably brings me back to your question, if you cannot fail, I mean, life is fun. If you cannot lose, but you can, worst case, you learn something for the next time, I think it's pretty cool.
I think this is going to be the quote of this podcast, that either you win or you learn. That's it. Or we are getting too philosophical and we are looking for the reason why something happened. I don't know, like usually I look for a reason why something happened, and maybe it's just coincident. There was a person who needed some cash and they just stole our phones, and that's it. And then we were like stupid enough to left our adapters. Because, I don't know, we were after a weekend without time and we were so chill that we didn't even think about work.
And maybe in both cases we needed a little reminder. For the first one, we needed a reminder, whatever you do, also if you do it without time, think about important stuff, because we realized an adapter is an important thing. Second is, if you go to the beach, the same thing could happen in Europe, so I'm not going to say we're not in Europe, but there is people, and this goes back to that not everybody is born with the same chance and equality, that believe if you steal, if you take a phone, that it's gonna have value. It sadly does not even help this poor person, he or she, because you can't really do stuff with an iPhone if it's stolen. But anyways, it was reminders. Be more cautious, be more careful if this is really important stuff to you. I mean, in the end, a phone, yes, not cool. Let's not jinx it, but let's not talk about laptops if those are gone, right? I mean,
I will not say a word about my laptop. Good. I love my laptop.
Very good. And yeah, again, I think it is mindset that makes me go through stuff. And again, I think I've learned a fair bit. Okay. And I will continue to learn.
Okay. And yes, I told you that for the last 4 months, I think I saw you sad maybe once or twice. What do you do when you are sad? Because sometimes I got this question in other episodes. What do I do when I'm sad? I don't know. Do I buy something cool, or do I make nice food, or do I take a bath? How do you deal with sad emotions? Or like, do you get angry sometimes? Do you have negative emotions, or everything is like all sunshine and nice perspective?
Hopefully not, and it shouldn't be. There's, again, different layers. I'm going to try to answer them one after another. Not everything is happy, not everything is good, not everything is cool. I think a life, a person, and your thoughts consist of all different emotions, and they all have the eligibility to be there. You should be sad, you should be angry to a certain extent, you should be feeling all those different emotions, right? If you push down your angry emotions or your sadness, it's not going to help you. I'm not going to go into too much of the details here, but we had a few situations this week where solving the situation was painful, very painful, but a few hours once we've done it, I believe it was there, and we talked about it. We went in, we not necessarily analyzed it, but we talked it through. We saw what is your understanding of the situation, what is my understanding of the situation. We understood that we were both assuming an understanding of the other person, which was not correct. So we cleared it, and then it was much better. So I think those emotions obviously need space and should have space. And life is not only happiness. I mean, there are so many different cultures. There are so many different concepts. You can call it yin and yang. You can call it like white and black. You can call it light and shade, whatever you want to call it. But it's always in equilibrium. It's always in balance, and it should be in balance. Yeah. Then the second one is, what do you do if you're sad? You said you've seen me sad once or twice. I don't really remember when that was. Obviously, I'm sad. I was sad once when we were coming back. I don't even remember from where exactly. And we had evening and we had some time together and we didn't spend it together, but you went to your Instagram. I was sad then. I remember that because I thought we could spend those 20 minutes. It's not about the Instagram. I don't really care so much, but that gave me a little sadness. But then I think, without going too deep into the example, if you question what is it that makes you sad, and you put yourself in the position of the other person that does something that makes you sad, because usually sadness is created by actions of people that trigger something. Maybe your sadness is somebody else's happiness, which doesn't make it much better for yourself. But you can say, okay, this person just made $3,000 worth of iPhones, and there you go, he has it. So for a short moment, it made somebody happy. It made me maybe sad. It didn't really make me much so sad. But if you understand that this is all connected or related, you understand, okay, why or what is it that makes me sad? And does it make somebody else does it give them satisfaction? Is it the need? Does it make them even happy? I think that's something. I think where it's going to be more difficult if you have two people, I take the example of two people, who are sad about one situation and none of them is benefiting. I think then you should do something, and doing something is talk about it, solve it, go in. Like, I know it's not been easy for you sometimes. But we do that, and I think it's a good thing to do. And depending on what it is, I mean, you have much more experience with all that stuff. For me, if I'm sad, or I don't know when I was angry the last time. I don't think I'm getting so angry.
You were angry at me once because I didn't want to talk.
Yes, because that was difficult for me. And I wasn't angry, I was sad. Yes.
Yeah, but then this is, I would say, the biggest learning that I've got. Like, end of last year with Karolina Sobańska, this is what she kind of taught me. And yeah, for me, everything has a reason, kind of, because it was December last year, I think. Me and Karolina, we had hard time in Tenerife because I didn't say what I thought about her behavior, what I didn't like. I didn't say anything, but I was getting more angry. And then I didn't want to show it to her, but I was kind of mean because I didn't want to say, but I was not nice as well. So after a few days, then she came and she was like, do you want to talk about it maybe? Do you want to solve it? And we sat there for like 3 hours and I viewed the situation in a different way. She saw the situation in a very different way. And at the beginning, we were like, okay, this friendship is over because we thought that we are not going to be able to solve it. But after like 2 or 3 hours talking, then we agreed on, I don't know, a solution to it. And then we understood why I behave in this way, why she behaved in this way. And that taught me how important is to communicate what you think, especially with really close people, because I've never lived with anyone. So, I mean, with like my friends, but it was a long time ago. But then I lived alone, so I didn't have to deal with it, actually. And then I lived for some time with Carolina, and if you live with someone, then it's a different story. So it showed me that maybe I should work on my communication skills. And I think that prepared me kind of for a relationship. This is how I view stuff. It was super painful, this situation with Carolina, and I was super sad that I behaved in this way, that I didn't tell her what I think. But then I realized how important it is, how bad things can go if you don't tell what you think and if you don't talk. And now we are getting here, and from the very beginning, we are super honest with each other. We talk a lot, we talk about everything, but sometimes, and that was like our situation, like you saw this situation this way, I saw the situation this way, and we couldn't find a solution for it. And it was super painful to talk about it. And usually my way of solving stuff is to not tell anything, to like live with it. But after some time, your partner is going to piss you a lot with it if you don't solve it. So yes, I didn't want to talk about it, but you didn't force me. But you told me that it's really important to you, and I think I saw you like sad/angry for the first time, and I was like, okay, maybe we talk, because it doesn't look good. So yeah, it showed me that during communication process, during talking, it's really difficult and painful sometimes, but after the conversation, it's like, okay, now I see this in a different way. So it's really good to communicate. So this is the ultimate thing that I've learned last year / this year, that communication is the most important thing. So yeah, you had this sad, angry emotions, like sad emotions, but how did you deal with it? Like, we solved the problem.
We solved the problem, and again, I think it's about accepting that those emotions can arise. Understanding also, I mean, you said I pushed you to talk about it. I understood that for the first half of the day, we're not going to talk about it. And I accepted it. I accepted that I'm going to be sad. I accepted that this is not the way I would like to solve it. I wanted to solve it straight away. This is how I solve stuff. But I accepted that this is not going to happen, because I cannot tell you I want to solve it now and you have to solve it now as well with me. I mean, who am I? There's two people in this relationship, right? So first of all, accept any emotion, that it's there. Don't say it doesn't exist. I cannot be weak. I cannot be sad. I cannot be angry. No, if it's there, it's there. Second, if it's something you can fix by yourself, even better. But if you have someone you can talk to, the best obviously is talk to the person that makes you sad, or that created the situation that made you angry, or that put you into a position. For me, it also helps if you can put yourself in the position of the other person. It's always easier said than done, but maybe you're like, maybe my understanding of the situation is not the only one. Maybe you are very strong in your opinion, maybe you are very strong in your way of thinking, but there is going to be a gazillion different ways of interpreting one situation. And then, yes, communication. I mean, you can say, you know what, we're not going to talk about it. It's all fine. Case closed. This is not going to help anyone. Mm-mm. This is a short-term solution at its best case. And probably / pretty sure after a day, latest a week, for sure a month, it will come back. And then it's usually coming back with more force, with more power, with more sadness. And I mean, then you create it. Then it happened once. It was not so cool. You don't talk about it. It comes back twice. Then it comes back 5 times. Then you start questioning things. Okay, this is coming back. And you could have solved it the first time. So my way, and yes, it's painful, talk about it, solve it. And if you realize you cannot solve it, then this is also an event that can happen. I mean, if we would have realized, and we are super far from it, but I'm just taking this as an example. If we would have realized we are so fundamentally different in something that we cannot fix, and that is super important for me, and that is super important for you, and we cannot come to a common ground, then this is a result of open, honest communication, and you go your way and I go my way. I mean, this is it is a result that may come out of stuff. And it's not something you and I are looking for, but it's a result that can happen. And it can be the result that's better for you and that's better for me. It's not the one we would like to talk about. And opening a loop again, I told you, good friends of mine, very close and good friends of mine, just recently decided to end their relationship because they said that. They love each other a lot, but they said there is more and bigger happiness they can seek if they're not together with other people. And it was super tough for them. It was super hard for them. And I don't need to go into details here. But you always have to understand there's also this situation. There is a result that you may not anticipate, you may not want. But only if you accept that, if you accept that there's everything, then you can solve it.
But on the other hand, yes, thinking about, okay, if we have this open communication, we can come to the conclusion that maybe we are not made for each other. We are not the right people. But on the other hand, having this open communication can give you I don't know if it's the best relationship, or I don't know if you can call it like this, but really good relationship that you can trust. But who are we to talk about good relationships? We are there since 4 months now. Absolutely. And I mean, yes, I think we can talk in 5 years if we are still there, and 10 years, and if this podcast is there, we can start to give relationship advices.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to give advice, to be honest. Sorry, people, in 10 years, 20 years, you're not going to get any relationship advice from my side. And yes, I think this is not the best, but it's the only possible good relationship one can have. You should be open and direct and communicative about anything. And also, I mean, I didn't want to sound it like that. I did not have a single doubt, not for a second, that we couldn't solve it. I knew it might be painful for a day or for a few hours. And it was for me, it was for you. But there was not a single doubt that we're going to solve it. So if you have that trust also not only in yourself, but maybe even in the other people who are involved, if you can talk directly with them, very good. And to answer your question, maybe, or to intertwine the answers of your question, does it help to buy new sneakers if you're sad? It usually does not. Does it help to eat a big cake by yourself if you're angry? I don't think so. It never helped me. I've never tried. But I think there is so many different ways people try to solve negative emotions that are not going to help you and that probably going to make things worse. I think usually open communication, facing the problem, accepting the problem, you're much better off with that.
I think this is the other quote of this podcast. So, wow, we got so many.
And I thought we were going to talk about food. So, let's go. What else are we going to talk about there?
I was planning to have this 1 hour episode. I prepared 10, 12 questions, and then I thought man, I don't know if those questions are enough for 1 hour episode. And yes, I still want to talk about food with you. Maybe we skip some questions, and I have one because we talked about happiness, but you didn't say a word about living the moment. How did you not say a word about it?
How did I not say a word about it? Well, I think it's a podcast by itself. Talking about happiness, yes. If you have the ability, the chance, or the mindset, and are able to live not tomorrow, not yesterday, but this very moment, in this very shipping container we are sitting right now, talking to each other. There's a microphone, but I don't really care. Be in the moment. This is what makes, at least me, very happy. And it can be the ocean that's 10 minutes away from here. We're there together, especially during the weekends, the afternoons. We are very good in being in the moment. And you shouldn't force it yourself. It doesn't work. I mean, you're not going to say, I'm going to be in the moment now. I'm not going to think about stuff. So it's all going to be cool. That doesn't work. But you can help yourself. Making it easier to be in the moment. I mean, the best example is what we've done 2 weeks back on the weekend. No time, no distraction, no nothing at all. You're in the moment. Like, I also enjoy, I talked about relationships, like talking to my family and friends, but if you are actually in the moment without any of those digital distractions, that's a good one. Usually it's much easier. And if you can really enjoy and be in the moment, and I'm far from being always in the moment, but those moments where I am, they make you happy, yes. But I think, again, it's like a big loop we can open here, and maybe we reserve that for some other discussions.
I don't know, maybe they can like stop here and listen to it later. I mean, they can divide this episode for like 2 days. 2 days straight, because now I am interested. And is it like, because for me living the moment is sometimes only few, I don't know, situations or like few things that I do. For example, surfing for me is living the moment, because you're changing the position. Okay, I don't want to cut it out. I'm too lazy to do that. Okay, so one of the things that makes me be in the moment is surfing, because I'm super scared. I don't know if I can survive this, and I want to catch waves. So I am super focused, and I don't know, doing yoga, cooking food sometimes when I like cut my veggies and do it. This is for me living the moment. Sometimes when I work also, like most of the time, like editing videos, I have few things that I do that makes me like be there. Is it for you that you have certain activities that makes you be in the moment, or you can do whatever and then be in the moment?
I think we may talk about definitions of what is focus and what is being in the moment, and what is being in the moment and what is enjoying the moment, if we talk about work and if we talk about all those different things. But there is certainly any activity can be done in the moment, if this is what is your valued activity, I want to say. And this could be cutting a video, this could be surfing, this could be drinking a sip of water, this could be your meditation in the morning. And it's similar stuff for me as it is for you, obviously. I mean, we do every morning, we do yoga or stretch or whatever you want to call it. I barely think about other stuff because I've been doing that for long, and you've been doing that for even longer. Like this 20 minutes, this 15 minutes, this 30 minutes in the morning. It's a good exercise to practice being in the moment. After that, usually we meditate for 8 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it may be. And I would lie if I'm saying I'm meditating without any thoughts for 10 minutes every day. It's not like that. But every day you practice, and then you are sometimes in the moment. You listen to your body, you listen to yourself, you listen to all that. Sports you mentioned. I mean, surfing, yes, for me is the same. It's not every time and every minute I'm in the water I think about nothing else. But there's a big chunk of time that I don't think about anything else but how to catch the next wave. The same is true for sometimes if I listen to a good podcast and do my fitness, or if I go for a run, especially, I mean, I don't have my cycle here, but also if I go for long cycle tours, right? If I go like 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 hours cycling, then I don't think about anything else. I'm in the moment. And this is what, I mean, runners call it runner's high, cyclists call it different. There's so many words for it, but this is really the appreciation of not being distracted by anything else. Because, I mean, we have that as well. Like you still lay in bed, you do this, you are distracted. Like all the thoughts come up, and to really also understand what is the essential thoughts, what is the important stuff you want to focus on. It can be certain activities, and cooking can be one. I mean, it can be so many different things.
Is meditation like helpful to
Absolutely.
practice? Because when I meditate, I think a lot, but I don't know, when I do stuff, then I feel that I do this and I am there. Like sitting and trying to meditate, it's the most difficult one for me.
Absolutely. I think it certainly does help, no? And I mean, if your meditation is cutting a carrot or peeling an orange or 10 of them, and you're in the moment and you're with that orange or with this carrot, this is just fine. And yeah, there is days like that and days like this if it comes to meditation, right? Sometimes one is really good at not thinking too much about stuff. Sometimes one is not. And I think that's super individual again. Like for all your listeners, they will find different ways of being in the moment. I think it's also, you shall try to be in the moment more often, and you're not always going to succeed. It's not that you decide this Sunday, I'm going to live in the moment. This is not how it works. It's like you would like to spend more time in the moment. And then if you do, and if you do, and if you try, I don't know. I don't really want to give a percentage here, but so many times you fail because you think about other stuff. But so many times, maybe even when you don't expect it, it works. And then it's pretty cool. And you're only going to realize afterwards. It's not that you're enjoying the moment and like, oh, now cool, I'm enjoying the moment. This is also like not how it works.
Yeah, for me, usually it's like work-related stuff when I plan to have like a cool weekend, when I enjoy the moment, and then I know that like Monday, important stuff to do, then it's hard to live the moment. Yeah, but go. Yeah, did you want to say something?
And then it's also perfectly fine. If your work is coming back Sunday afternoon, it's maybe not ideal, but it is the way it is. If the work is there, you're not going to think about it, I don't want to think about work, and you're not going to think about work until Monday morning. That's not how it works. If your work is there, rather go in, think about it. If it's important, take notes, make a story, write it down, take a picture, whatever it is, solve it, or accept that you're not going to solve it today and postpone, like take it to the next day.
But this is what I'm good at. Like there is a thing that must be solved, and then I postpone it.
Until the very last moment, I know.
Yeah, you need to solve stuff straight away. Okay, but now I think since you said so many things about like cycling, doing your fitness, meditation, yoga and stuff, do you consider yourself a person who live a healthy lifestyle? And what is a healthy lifestyle for you?
What is a healthy lifestyle for me?
Components of the healthy lifestyle.
There's one that's called movement. There's one that's called food. Your mind is pretty important as well.
Okay.
Sleep is pretty important as well. There's different components. Do I have a healthy lifestyle? At the moment, I would say pretty much, yes.
And before, in the past, before we met, and I don't know, when you were 20?
Oof, you're going back a long time.
Like, my question is, did you care before, or you started to care, I don't know, 2020 because you had plenty of time?
No, I didn't start caring because I have plenty of time. I believe there was a shift in my life in 2020, which had to do that I was not able to travel as much anymore for my work, which reduced 15 hours easily travel time a week, which I decided to use not only for my mind, but also for my body, which is, yes, there was a shift. I think I have to answer your question on different layers again. Let's start with an easy one. Sports. Sports have always been important to me. I have always done sports. I have always found sports that make me happy, let me be in the moment. So I've had periods where I did more sports and less sports. And the last, 5 years, excluding the whole Rona. So before all that, I didn't do as much sports because I didn't take the time, or I just didn't have the time anymore. And I didn't really like hotel gyms. So I told myself it's fine. That is much better now. I've done a lot without being excessive, but every day I do sports. And be it like an hour, be it like 2, sometimes it's more than 1 session, whatever.
Do you do it because it's healthy? It's good for your body, or
it's good for my mind? I mean, yes, I care for my body, kind of, but I don't care for my body as much as I care for my mind. So I think doing sports, physical education, whatever you want to call it, it's more important for my mind than being able to run in a certain time, to cycle from A to B in a certain time. It's, yes, the physical fitness comes with it, but it's good for your mind. That's how to begin with. Same is true for like stretching, yoga, all that stuff I do, right? So that is one component. Second component is, maybe let's take the easy ones first, is sleep. For long, I was the person that didn't sleep much more than 6 hours. There was not much time for that. I mean, I told you, like I've worked a lot, I've traveled a lot, I've been places here, there, and in my free time I also went places. So there just was not enough time to sleep more. And it worked fine. Your body gets totally used to it and you adjust and it does work. And I don't know what we sleep here, but I would say an average of 8 hours. And I think 8 hours is also what the body needs. And you do realize it. I mean, we talk about dreams, something you don't have if you don't sleep. You wake up and you're actually rested and ready for the day. And I mean, we're going to talk about food and all that later, I guess. But you don't need, I mean, I never did, but we don't need 10 coffees to get through the day, right? To finish our meals, to finish our tasks. But that's one thing. So I think on sleep, as I'm not traveling so much for my work anymore, that has increased or improved. I always knew that sleep is important, but I take it more serious again.
You got old, so now you care more.
Exactly.
No, I always cared for my sleep.
Yeah.
I was trying to.
The third one I would probably mention is stress level. Because for me, having a lot of stress is not good for your health and it's not good for your lifestyle. It's probably the most dangerous factor for having a healthy life. Because even if you live a healthy life, you do sports, if you're always stressed, it's not going to be good for you. And
how do you deal with stress then? Like, because from my perspective, you are never stressed out. Me? Yeah, I can see that like 100 times more often I am stressed out, even with like small things.
Yeah, I think again, it goes back to mindset and it goes back to experience. I think I've worked and lived in high tension and high stress environments a lot. And I learned how to cope with it and not to, again, take myself too serious, take this situation too serious. There is like, I don't know, 8-point-something billion other people on this planet. So
you're not that important, right?
Exactly. I mean, I'm important for a few people and that's fine. That's okay. But your stress level shouldn't be too high. And even if I've worked jobs where you have necessarily a lot of stress because you have way too many tasks. I never really stressed too much about it. I mean, it's also like, how do you see the world? Do you see it rather like half full or half empty? If you see it half empty, you're going to have much more stress, even though if you have the same task to do. So I guess my mindset helped there. And probably there is a lot of other factors, but I think one is also food and healthy lifestyle, if you want to say so. And that has always been the case for me. I mean, and I'm not going to open that loop, but I've partied and I've drank alcohol and all that, and we still drink beer here and there. I'm not going to go down that route for now. But for me, regardless, it has always been important to eat good and healthy. Like, even though I don't have much time, I was not the person who could eat junk food. And I don't know when the last time was that I ate like fast food, like actual fast food. I couldn't tell you. It's never been my thing, and we've all had super drunk nights out, being at some major plaza or like central station, and then you got something, but even then I didn't like it at all. So, and I think I'm fairly privileged if it comes to that, and not because my mom was super rich when I grew up, but she taught me that good food is super important. And we did what everybody does nowadays since I'm a child. Like, we went to local farmers and got our veggies there, but not because it's cool and bio and hip, but because it was cheap. And I knew from very early on that it's important to eat vegetables. It's important to eat fruits. It's good to eat what's local. It's all that. And it's not good to eat all the crab meat you find out there. And it's good to have a balanced nutrition plan, if you want to say so, even though there was obviously not nutrition plan or a diet, whatever you want to call it. So I think this is even in the days where like one city here, this day, next day there, I always made sure I eat good stuff and I'm not eating junk. And I think this is something like also you and I, like maybe my diet got even better, or if you want to compare them. We eat healthy, we eat good, and we eat, I would say, also we have a lot of different dishes, right? It's not only one or two.
For me, it's like boring because there we have like 15.
Yeah, and then we change.
Poland or like Europe, you have more variety. So for me, it's more difficult because I really like to cook and I really like to cook different stuff. And right now we have, I don't know, some dishes that we like cook often. It's still really good, but for me, it's sometimes, I would like to cook something else, but I cannot buy ingredients.
Yes, but still 15 dishes that we change from is still fairly good. And I mean, that was probably, if I think back, or is whatever the biggest reason about the job I had is like I couldn't cook. If you live in hotels all the time, you're not going to cook. You don't have time to go groceries. You don't have time to cook. So you always have to eat out. And if you eat out healthy, it's also not so easy. But I think that's something I enjoy as well, that we can take time and eat. And and I've always taken care of that. And my family has always done that. And I mean, you met my sister. She's the same for the children. Like, they always have eaten healthy, and we always, I mean, I'm not saying I'm not eating this or not eating that. But I think in general, I've been blessed that I learned from the very beginning that healthy diet is something very important.
Mm-hmm. In the last episode, we've talked that there is so many stuff that we have in common that sometimes it's like weird that we have so many stuff in common. And I think I told Marta in the last episode that I'm super thankful that you also don't eat meat too often, which for me is really important because, I don't know, for me it's hard to imagine that you want to cook steaks or you want to cook meat or you say that I am not going to eat those lentils. Like, what is this, beans here? So, why do you avoid meat? What is the reason? Or did you start to do it, I don't know, a year ago when it got like popular to do it, or is it something that you did for many years?
I wouldn't say I avoid meat because I don't have the craving for it, because I never really ate so much meat. For me, meat has always been, and we ate meat the last time in Poland with your parents over Easter in Poland, which is perfectly fine. Before that, you had a ham pizza in Fuerteventura, and before that, I have no idea when we ate meat, when I ate meat, like when my boys cooked in Fuerteventura. We don't eat meat a lot, but still I would say I still eat meat. But I don't avoid it because I don't really have a cravings for it. Like for me, meat has always been something special, and it always should be something special. No, I mean, it can be tasty. I don't know if I would still like the taste because we eat so little, but if you go to a farmer, again, my family has always done that, and you get a piece of meat, and yes, it costs 10 times what it costs in a supermarket if you get the cheapest sausage or the cheapest steak, whatever. It's something special. So I never was used to eat a lot of meat, and I never wanted to. And to answer your question, no, it's not something I do since a year. It's something I do since 31 years. There have been times that I ate more meat than we do now. But even my times where I ate more meat is like what probably people would call a vegetarian diet, 99%. I don't know. We drove to Warsaw and we talked about veganism. And I think we came to the conclusion we're not going to do it because of fish for now.
Yeah, because I think I told people in my vlog on YouTube that you came up with an idea that maybe we could try veganism.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Why? What is your reasons to try it? Like,
I think it shouldn't be a reason to try it. There should be many reasons to do it. But if you look at food production, and that is not only meat, and that is also like all dairy products, a lot of it, you really do not want to know how stuff is being produced, because otherwise you're not going to eat it. Start off with that. The environment, we can talk about the environment. We can talk about so many different reasons, and we may as well talk about the animals that get killed in order for us to eat them. I don't know why we would have the right to kill all those animals just for the sake of eating them. So I think there's a lot of good reasons to live a vegan lifestyle. We don't do for now, but we do for 95% of our life. I mean, pretty much everything we eat is plant-based. We have now here living around 55 animals on this farm, or whatever we want to call it. We have fresh eggs every other day, and we eat them. Before that, we didn't really eat a lot of eggs. Other than that, we don't eat any dairy products here just because we don't have them. In Europe, you like cheese. I like cheese. I really love cheese, in fact. But it's also not that we eat plenty of it. And it's not that we eat the cheap stuff. It's that we eat good stuff, and then not every day, but every week once. I think you should understand where does it come from. And you should also understand why you should not eat it all the time. I mean, this brings me back. We've talked about that in regard to places and travels. Anything that's good should be special. I mean, if you don't appreciate something special, if you make it your everyday routine, it's not going to be as good anymore. It's not going to be as thrilling, as exciting, and this doesn't help your brain. So, long answer for a short question. There is so many reasons. Probably first one is environment and the animals, and then there is a lot other ones. It's for me, I'm pretty sure that we still get all the nutritional values we need. I mean, you know all the stuff. I also know what I should and what I should not eat, how much I should eat. So I don't need meat to be healthy. I don't need meat to be happy. And I certainly don't need it to survive. So why would I crave meat all the time? And maybe it's good for me, because I've never learned to eat so much meat, and I never missed it.
But sometimes if you don't have meat when, I don't know, because you grew up with not so much money, then you wanted more. But it's good that you didn't go this way, that you are actually aware. And what was funny for me, that I told you about this flexitarianism thing and you were laughing. And also you told your sister the other day that we are going to talk about flexitarianism a little bit in my podcast, and she had no clue what it is.
And how did I explain it to her?
Yeah, I don't know. How did you explain it to her?
Well, yeah, I was talking to my sister, I believe, on Thursday, afternoon, evening, I'm not sure. And I knew that we're going to do a podcast. Today is Sunday. And I thought we're going to talk about food and approaches to food and not happiness, but that's perfectly fine. And you told me we're going to talk about flexitarianism. And of course, I know what it is because, I mean, you having an ebook about it and you just in sales, right? I'm interested in what you do and we've talked about it, so I know what it is.
But did you know before? Have you heard about it?
I probably heard the name before, but not really given it any attention. And then I told my sister, like, yeah, and we're going to talk about flexitarianism, blah, blah. And she was like, what's that? And the way I explained it is like, it is what we eat, how we eat since 30/40 years. And apparently it's hip now, and this is what people call flexitarianism. And yeah, basically it fits pretty much our diet since a long time. And no, I have not done too much research about how you define flexitarianism. But apparently I don't need to, because this is how me and my family eat since ever.
And now me and you, I mean...
Yes.
Yeah.
Minus that we don't really eat meat.
Yeah, but we
so
eat
much.
It, yeah, but... in flexitarianism, it's not that you eat meat once a week or like 3 times a week or like you eat it, I don't know, once a month. It doesn't matter. It's that you eat less or that you try to eat less. So
and
it's
you
about
accept,
the effort. Yeah.
Yes, and you still accept that you may eat it, right? I mean, I had 2 cravings. Maybe I should throw that into the podcast here. We didn't go down that road because they just didn't happen. Like in the weekend without time, we had a fancy place, a super cool place. And there was like super nice steaks in the freezer. And we bought super nice tuna steaks I made, whatever. And I thought maybe the next day I would like to make a very nice beef steak. I had the craving, we had the tuna steak, the craving was gone. I didn't think about it anymore. And then, I think that was a few weeks before that, I had a craving, and I have no idea why, for ribs. I wanted to eat ribs somewhere. I mean, obviously I'm in Costa Rica. You're not going to find good ribs. If that day I would have found a place which has good ribs, probably I would have eaten them, because I'm not a pure vegan for now. But I didn't, because we didn't find a place, and I never thought about it again, just now that we talk about it, right? So if in that very moment we would have found something, or if it would have fit, or we would not have had that tuna, I would have bought, because I knew it's good stuff. But yeah, I mean, we don't really avoid, we don't force to eat a lot of meat. That's how I would call it.
Yeah, I would call it that we choose to eat as healthy as possible and as, I don't know, as many vegan meals as possible, because this is our choice. This is how we want to eat. And this is why I like flexitarianism, because I still know that I can eat meat if I want, but I choose not to. It's the same, especially for people who had difficult relationship with food. If you tell yourself that you cannot eat this and that, and if I know that since today I'm vegan, then it would be difficult for me, because then I want to eat it all. But now, since I know that I can eat all of it because I'm flexitarian and I can eat anything I want, then I choose to eat my beans and rice and my veggies, because this is my choice and this is what we have. And you said something about like having those special stuff, and we are not following this rule, because this week, Thursday, you wanted to have burgers. And I was like so happy about this idea. You wanted to have this Beyond Burger because we saw it in the supermarket. And actually here we can buy more stuff. I mean, they have red lentils, they have curry paste, they have most of the stuff I need. So I'm super happy. We still don't have good cheese, but that's okay. So you saw this Beyond Burger stuff, which is this burger that tastes like meat but doesn't have meat and it's vegan. And I was like so happy about this idea. But then I was like, okay. It was after we went to the police station to tell that our phones got stolen and they didn't speak any English, so we had to explain everything in Spanish, but we wanted to treat ourselves. So we made those nice burgers, and it was on Thursday, and this is Sunday. We are doing them again tonight. So.
Because we have leftovers, kind of. And between the police station and the burgers, we went for surf, which probably also triggered it. Yes. So...
Like, we shouldn't eat it so often.
No.
It should be special, this
yes,
Beyond
and
Burger.
it will stay special.
Yeah, only this week we are eating it twice.
Yeah, and if we want to eat it again at some point next week, maybe we eat it again. I'm sure we're not going to eat it 52 times the next year.
But, like, I don't know if you know me that good, but if I really like something, then I want to eat it every day.
I know, but I'm going to make sure we don't.
Yeah.
And again, like, I think even with those Beyond Burgers, we saw them, it was nothing planned, that it was like, okay, now we've been in Costa Rica for 6 weeks, 8, I don't know how many weeks we've been here, and now I would like to know. I saw them, I was like, let's have them, and you're like so happy about it. And actually, when we got them, I was a bit, scared is the wrong word, but I was cautious. I was like, what happens if we really don't like the taste of meat anymore? Because then probably, like, we would have said, okay, that's it with meat, right? It could have happened. But yeah, I mean, it is vegan, but it's still a treat. And I'm looking forward to have them again tonight.
Yes, especially, wow, and like, I really do not like mayonnaise.
And it's the best thing in the world.
He loves mayonnaise. Yeah, I think this is the...
Disclaimer, it's not the best thing in the world. But with chipotle for those burgers...
Yeah, maybe I will show you, like, on Instagram one day, if we make them, how we do Beyond Burgers. Because this mayonnaise plus chipotle that I actually discovered here, and then lettuce, tomatoes, and marinated in vinegar onions, that was so good on Thursday that we are doing it again. Last question for you.
All right.
What is your favorite, or what are your favorites vegetarian/vegan meals that we cook?
All of the above. What is my favorite currently that we currently cook?
Mm-hmm.
I think we have a very nice variety of food. I really liked, but that's just going back what we ate, to be honest. The lentils pasta I really like.
This one you can see in the vlog on YouTube. I think I've showed this pasta. Okay. Yeah, and actually I thought that green lentils, they don't feed good, but they actually feed good. Especially if you later add chipotle.
Yes. Also, like the tacos we make, regardless of with the beans, which can be super nice if we make it with... We made it with sweet potato the other day. That was super nice. We make it with... And I know Costa Rica, and this is not really the place for tofu, but the tofu meat we make, that's how I call it. That's not how it's called. But that is super delicious.
This recipe, it's called macaron z mielonym tofu, is on my blog. So you can
there you go.
Check it out.
Then I really love when we make pita and the bell pepper spread and hummus.
Yeah, bell pepper spread, which is muhabara.
Muhabara, exactamente.
Is in the vegan Ebook 2020. So yeah, and pitas as well. And the best hummus as well.
And this muhabara made me partially fall in love with you. That's what I keep on saying. I think it was our third dish or something, or fourth, I'm not sure. It was after the pulpo, but still. No, I really like that. By the way, we haven't done pitas and that for some time. I think that's something for next week. All our breakfast options are cool. I really like them. I mean, my default back then, I want to call it, was yogurt with cereals and fruits, and now we have like smoothie bowls, we have like oatmeals, we have also
most of the time
our omelets.
smoothie bowls.
Yeah, that depends on how much bananas we get here. So really, like, even yesterday, like what we are, I'm saying even, I'm not meaning even, also the food we had yesterday, we had pretty typical Tico food, no? Like
Yeah,
we had rice, we had beans, we had plátanos.
And I made it for the first time, actually. It was really, really cool.
Yes.
Because we got plátanos from our host/neighbors. And then you fry them on the pan with a little bit of salt, and it's super cool. This is how they eat it here. And yeah, it was cool. So
I would say really, like, pretty much all of what we eat, I really do like. I think it took us, how long did it take us? Like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I don't know, to adjust to the local supermarkets. It took us like a week not to buy tofu all the time, not to buy the stuff that we were used to. I think we bought cheese once in the very beginning in order to understand that this is not the place for cheese, which makes perfect sense. Then you have a boyfriend that doesn't want to buy imported stuff.
oh my god, like yes. Oh.
So you're kind of limited there as well. Every once in a while you win a bet so you can treat yourself.
Yeah, and actually this is important, and I know that this is your values, and sometimes we have difficult time there when I really want to buy this avocado that is imported because I do not like the taste of this huge avocado here. And then I'm like, can I buy this imported veggie? And then he's like, no, we are going to buy local food. And sometimes I can buy it if I really want it, but most of the time I'm like, yes, you are right, we should buy stuff that are local. And the other thing that about you that is like your value, and I think it's really important to have, is not throwing food. And sometimes we also have like...
I will remind you the next time that we talked about it, I will play this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. We're not throwing food. We had like 1 or 2 situations where we had a little bit of leftover rice after 3 days, and I still don't like throwing food. And I know you do your very best, and I know you really don't do it on purpose, and that's what makes it fine for me to accept it. But yes, I buy local food, and yes, I don't throw food, and... yeah, to sum that up, we've going loops around and around. It's not structured, but I really like...
It doesn't matter.
I know. I really like all our diet. And I think it took 2-3 weeks to adjust to what we can buy here, what we should buy. And I think we found good ways. And every other week or so, we find something new. Maybe we go to a Tico place one of those days and see what they offer. Maybe we can get inspired.
Yeah, I think we can do that. But actually, we went out today, and I think we went, I don't know, here at Caribbean. Yeah. We went to the restaurant 3 times since 2 weeks. Yes. And every time you are like, yeah, it was okay, but our food is better. What we cook is better.
It is.
So I'm sad sometimes because I really like to go to restaurants and I really like to eat this cool food. But unfortunately, we cook better food because, I don't know, they look like they don't care. And their food is so-so. And I can sense that ingredients are also like so-so.
I think it's the best they can get and we can get. And I think for now it's cooking.
Yeah.
And whenever we somewhere else on this planet, we may go out again more often with more fun. Poland is good for eating out. So is Europe. Whole Europe is good for that.
Yes, and I think I was just like...
Spoiled.
Yes, this is the right word. And now I need to change the perspective that it's like super cool to cook at home with you. and not go out anymore because every time it's like disappointment.
Yes. Stop comparison and stop comparing.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Stop the expectations and start enjoying what you got, what you have.
So yeah, I invited this guy because he's teaching me a lot, and even though I get like super annoyed when he tells me like, don't have expectations, like don't compare, I'm like, but at the end of the day, I think this through later. I think about it, and I know that you're right, but sometimes I get pissed. But I would like to learn how to be more in the moment, more happy and less angry, because I thought that I'm not like angry person and I don't get sad too often, but in comparison to you,
don't compare. And it's not about being right, and we learn from each other. It's not that you learn from me, I also learn from you, and that's good.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, what do you learn from me? But we can save it for a different time, because we are going to end up here, because this podcast is like almost 2 hours, and I don't know if you are going to surf today, because our plan was to record a podcast and then go to surf at 5 p.m. because 6 p.m. in Costa Rica, it's already dark. So let's see. Thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast again, and like thank you for sharing this like knowledge.
Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for good talks, and happy to come again.
So again, if you finished to listen to this podcast, let me know if I should invite this guy more often, or if we should just like keep our conversations to ourselves. So I am waiting for your messages, and we are going to hear from each other next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Dziękuję. Pa.